Today I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful sun hat. This sun hat has three major panels: the top, the middle and the brim panel, and you will require the head circumference measurement to make the sun hat. I'll be working with the head circumference measurement, which measures 24 inches, and I'll be using this medium weight interfacing pattern paper, my fabric scissors, pattern scissors, my marker, French curve, my ruler or measuring tape, my thread, matching thread, patterned and plain fabrics for this sun hat. First, I'll be making the top panel, and to achieve this I have measured a circle of a radius of 3.5 inches, and to derive this I used my tape measure to go round the folded pattern paper. This will form the top panel of my sun hat. Next, I'll be cutting the middle panel. To achieve this, I will measure around this circle I cut out. Measuring around the circle, I got 22.5 inches, which is the circumference of the top panel. I will apply this to my middle panel. On another piece of pattern paper, I will measure half the circumference of my top panel, which was 22.5. I will mark half of it here, which is 11.25, on another piece of pattern paper. I will join these lines, then I will derive the midpoint. I'll mark it at this point. Then the length of my middle panel is going to be 4 inches. You can even make this longer or shorter depending on how you want the length to be, but 4 inches has really worked out for me perfectly, as that is how I want the length to be. So I've marked the midpoint, and I'll go ahead to connect these lines. After connecting this line, I will apply my head circumference. The head circumference is 24 inches, so I'm going to apply half the head circumference, which is 12 inches. So I'm going to apply 12 inches on this top part of my pattern paper. So this is the midpoint. I'll make sure I place my tape at the point where the 6 inches falls and mark 12 on this side, and on the other side I'll mark. This will sum up to 12 inches. I will use my ruler as well to connect this line. Okay, so this becomes, so this is my head circumference, and this is the circumference of the top panel circle I cut out earlier. So next thing I'll do now is to connect these two lines at this point and connect the other one as well. So I'll have something that looks like this. So I will add half-inch ease allowance to my head circumference. This is really optional, but I find it really better when I add this half-inch ease allowance. So to apply this, I will add 0.25 to the right and 0.25 to the left. Okay, then I'll connect these lines to the point I marked earlier. Next, I'll measure and mark half-inch upwards from the midpoint, and at the top as well I'll measure and mark half-inch upwards. Then I'll use my French curve to connect these lines to the previous line I marked earlier. This will form a curve. Next, I'll add 1/2 inch seam allowance to one side of my pattern. Just 1/2 inch on one side. I'll connect these lines and make my notations. This side will be cut on fold. I'll make my notation to cut on fold. For my brim panel, I'll get another piece of my pattern paper. I'll fold this into 4, and using this folded edge, I'll place the top, I'll fold it and place on this edge. Then I'll shift it in a bit by 0.25 inch, and this will make it to sum up to the total circumference of my head, which was 24 inches. Then I will measure the brim. For the brim, I'll be using 6 inches length. You can actually make this smaller or wider. I actually want a wide brim, that's why I'm using 6 inches. So I'll mark it all round, top panel, my middle, and the brim panel. Quickly now, we'll make the notation on each of these panels. So for the top panel, I'm going to cut one piece of interfacing, one piece of the plain fabric, and one piece of the patterned fabric. Then for my middle pattern as well, I'm going to cut one piece of interfacing, one piece of my plain fabric, and one piece of the patterned fabric. Remember, I'm going to place this side on fold to cut the middle panel. For the brim panel as well, I'll cut one interfacing, one plain, and one patterned fabric. Iron on the interfacing on the top, the middle, and the brim panel. I will sew from the 1/2 inch seam allowance on the middle panel. I've just sewn the points from the 1/2 inch seam allowance on the middle panel. So now just fold it into 4 like this to get some straight edges on the 4 sides like this. Then I'll fold the top panel as well to get fine smooth lines on 4 edges. This will help me mark out the points where I'm going to pin to the middle panel to get it at the exact point. Okay, so from the first point I folded, I'll pin it to one of the edges like this. Then I'll also pin the second part to this side. Pin this as well. Then the 4th one to the 4th folded part as well, like this. Doing this will make it align properly and will come out evenly when I sew it. So next I'll just sew around this edge. So this is what it will look like after sewing it. It's beginning to look like a cap already. So the next thing I'll do is to join the brim panel to this one, and to do this perfectly I'll just fold the brim panel as well into 4. So guys, here's the outcome after joining the Brim panel. Okay, so this is what I got, and this is one side of my hat. So the next thing I'll do is to couple up the plain patterned side of my hat. Okay, so I'll do the same thing, but the only difference is that I'm not adding an interfacing to that one. I finished up the top and the reverse panels, and this is what they actually look like now. Placing them opposite each other with the right side facing each other, pin them in place on the edge like so, all round the hat, just at the brim. After that, we'll sew it around and we'll leave out about 2 inches or so to turn it up. Next, I will turn this inside out. I'll iron this properly, this edge. I'll iron it out properly to make them equal. Then I'll top stitch all round. So this is the finished hat, this is the reverse part, and this is the front of my hat. Ooh. I hope you enjoyed making this hat along with me. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share this video with your loved ones, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.